Hi everyone. I was reading in our Course in Miracles, The Little Hindrance. What's so beautiful, those of you who are familiar with the Course in Miracles, is that when you read this, you take a moment to let sink in the thoughts that are handed to you for the conversion of conceptual thought, so to mean, right? This course, of course, it teaches you a completely different way of thinking that, as many of us know and have experienced, sets you free within your mind, right? It brings you the happiness, the peace, the joy that you've been looking for, right? Which is missing in human thinking, in the thinking of the world, correct? The thinking of the world only brings misery, right? Conflict, disappointment, pain, fear, correct? But the Course in Miracles, right, teaches you an entirely different way of thinking. So in that sense, it's a correction, right? It's a correction in your thinking. A miracle is a correction. So if you're not familiar with the Course in Miracles, pick up a copy anytime. What I'm reading to you now is from chapter 26 in the text. It's called The Little Hindrance. And it says, a little hindrance can seem large indeed to those who do not understand that miracles are all the same. There is no order of difficulty in miracles, right? One correction of an illusion is not harder than another correction of an illusion. An illusion is an illusion is an illusion, right? One illusion is not harder to correct than another, because it wouldn't be illusion if that's the case. An illusion means per definition, it's not so. Yet teaching this is what this course is for. This course teaches you that there is no order of difficulty in miracle, right? That all illusions are the same and require the same correction. That's the miracle. This is its only purpose, for only that is all there is to learn. That's finally the only thing you learn. The only thing you learn that is that none of this is so, that these are all illusions, right? And the only response to an illusion is a correction. But this is the Course in Miracles. When you read these, when I read this, let these thoughts sink in for a moment, because they need to find a place among your thinking, right? So that when you respond to anything out there, what seems to be apparently out there, right? When you respond to anything, that becomes your manner of responding. So your first will not be despair or anger or fear or whatever, but your first will be, wait a minute, none of this is so, right? I just need to remember that so that the miracle can take place. And you can learn it in many different ways. All learning is a help or hindrance to the gate of heaven, right? You either learn what's true or you learn what's not true. You learn truth or illusions, right? There is no in between. That's what I love about A Course in Miracles. There is no compromise possible. There is no gray area. This world, everything seems to have a gray area, correct? Everything has a gray area. Everything is a compromise. We are trying to reconcile truth with untruth, truth with falsity. That's not possible. There's no meeting place of the two. Huh? All learning is a help or hindrance to the gate of heaven. Nothing in between is possible. Again, love it. No compromise, right? There are two teachers only who point in different ways, and you will go along the way your chosen teacher leads. There are but two directions you can take while time remains and choice is meaningful, for never will another road be made except the way to heaven. Why? There is only heaven. See how your thinking changes? Now, why isn't there another way? No, there is only heaven, right? The other road really finally isn't so, and that's what you'll learn. Right? But see how you learn to think in this uncompromising manner. You no longer go like, well, maybe it's a little bit of this, or how shall I interpret this? No, he means exactly what he says, right? There is no interpretation necessary or possible for that matter. I love that. You but choose whether to go toward heaven or away to nowhere. Why? There is only heaven, right? Either you go to heaven or you go away to nowhere. You can't go somewhere else. There is nowhere else to go. What is the line in the Course in Miracle? Heaven is all around you, sleeping one. Maybe initially you get offended when you're being addressed that way, right? You'll learn to let go of it, because the fact is, these lines give me joy, because I've learned to think along that uncompromising way of thinking, right? And initially, when you start still defending yourself and you think there is some other way or there's some other way you can reconcile Course in Miracles with your worldly thinking, you're still trying to figure it out. But once you learn to think along the lines in the Course in Miracles, these lines give me joy, right? Because they take all conflict away. This is it. There is no compromise. The thought system that this course sets forth is directly the opposite of the thinking of the world. You can't bring them together. And any conflict that arises when learning these lessons, or any idea that the Course in Miracles is hard, arises from you trying to fit the thinking of A Course in Miracles into your thinking, into your old way of thinking, which I call the thinking of the world, right? They don't fit. It doesn't fit. Like, for instance, if you were to use A Course in Miracles to try to enrich yourself, or to try to improve your life on earth, that's not what it's meant to do. It will do that, right? Once you get happier, but once you get experience the peace of God, of course you feel better, right? But it's not making your life on earth better so you can go off and die more, right? Because you've had many death life cycles. But you recognize now that you're actually waking up, and waking up is actually leaving the world, not to death, but to a change of mind. Okay? So it has no longer to do with trying to improve your life on earth. It has to do with the recognition of who you truly are. I love it. Nothing is ever lost but time, which in the end is meaningless. I love that. I love that you can apply this within your own mind. Right? Why is time meaningless? There's no such thing as time. There's only eternity. Time, eternity. Right? They're jealous opposites. Eternity means there is no time. Right? Time means there's no eternity. But you can't have both. Right? Why? Everything here is meaningless. For it is but a little hindrance to eternity, quite meaningless to the real teacher of the world. Yet since you do believe in it, and again, this is a course in brutal honesty, you do believe in time. Everything you believe is rooted into time, right? Lesson number 7 in our workbook. And therefore you need to dispose of time. You need to learn another way of using time, if you will. Since you believe in it, why should you waste it going nowhere, when it can be used to reach a goal as high as learning can achieve? Think not the way to heaven's gate is difficult at all. It isn't. As a matter of fact, it's the easiest thing in the world, because it's the most natural thing in the world. As a matter of fact, it's the only natural thing in the world. Nothing you undertake with certain purpose and high resolve and happy confidence, holding your brother's hand and keeping step to heaven's song, is difficult to do. That's right. You become a happy learner, right? Initially, maybe you have some resistance against this teaching, right? Because you still hold on to your old way of thinking. But when that goes, you become a happy learner. And happy learner means you like learning this, and you become happy as a result of it. Love it. But it is hard indeed to wander off alone and miserable down a road that leads to nothing and has no purpose. That's the situation of the world. God gave his teacher to replace the one you made, not to conflict with it. I love it. You've been badly taught, right? Now you have a teacher that is not of this world, given to you by your source, that teaches you who you truly are. And it teaches you by an undoing. And what he would replace has been replaced. Notice how I stop for a moment and let those lines sink in. What he would replace has been replaced. Why? Everything was answered the moment that the mind had a thought of separation, right? God gave his answer and it was done. What God wills doesn't take time, right? So you're learning what's already so. But having denied it, you have to remember it, right? Time lasted but an instant in your mind with no effect upon eternity. None of this has any effect upon who you truly are. You are eternal. None of your illusory thoughts, none of your false thoughts, none of the effects of time have any effect on eternity. I love it. And so is all time past and everything exactly as it was before the way to nothingness was made. Everything is still as it always was. Heaven didn't skip a beat. None of it was affected by it. It's you dreaming a dream of death. And now that you're waking up, you discover that everything was still whole and perfect. You are still whole and perfect as you were created, and nothing has changed. The tiny tick of time in which the first mistake was made, and all of it within that one mistake held also the correction for that one and all of them that came within the first. Right? That first mistake that you keep reliving every moment of every day. Right? You relive that first mistake. That's all a human life is. You keep reliving that moment when the time of terror took the place of love. That's every moment of every day. Right? All errors are within that first error. They're contained within that first initial thought of separation. That you only believe that needs to be remedied, right? Your belief in separation. Well, it's over. It's gone, right? It also held the correction for all the other mistakes. Huh? And in that tiny instant, time was gone, for that was all it ever was. What God gave answer to is answered and is gone, right? This world was over a long time ago, and somewhere in your mind you know that this is true. Beautiful, huh? So this is chapter 26 in our Course in Miracles. Read it today if you have a moment. It's beautiful. It's such a fundamental lesson, right? To you who still believe you live in time and know not it is gone, the Holy Spirit still guides you through the infinitely small and senseless maze you still perceive in time, though it's long since gone. You think you live in what is past, right? All of this, it's past. It's over. It's gone, right? Each thing you look upon, you saw it for an instant long ago, before its unreality gave way to truth. Not one illusion still remains unanswered in your mind. I love this. Listen to the next line. Uncertainty, that's the human condition, was brought to certainty so long ago that it is hard indeed to hold it to your heart as if it were before you still. And yet, that is the belief of the world. That is your belief, right? Now that you're waking up, and many of you are, it's no longer wholly your belief, right? You're starting to be corrected when you're thinking. A Course in Miracles. Not a beautiful, beautiful demonstration of the correction of perceptual mind to whole mind. That is you in your awakening. That is your spiritual transformation. And as you learn it, you become that light that the world is looking for. And you become your brother's reminder of what he has forgotten. But it first requires that you wake up, right? And that you are healed. And then that automatically extends from you through the miracle. I love you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you out there.